What if I told you that even ordinary people can be on top of the world?
The first attempt on the North Pole by a team of women gets underway today.
The epic adventure will take them over 1,000 kilometres of hazardous sea ice.
It's thousands of miles of ice and nobody.
And so I found myself walking into this water and then sinking up to my neck.
I honestly thought I was going to die in the Arctic.
The all-new 30 for 30 podcast. Subscribe now on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts.
30 for 30 podcast is presented by Mini. We're finding the best sports stories for you right now. And to do that, we're behind the wheel of the new Mini Countryman, the biggest Mini yet.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
To find great sports stories, you have to get out into the world and follow your instincts. That's where the new Mini Countryman's all-wheel drive comes in handy. With all four, we can chase down a story in the city, the country, and most places in between. No matter what story you're chasing, the new Mini Countryman will help you find it. It's available now, and so are 30 for 30 podcasts.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
If you listen to this show, you know that I'm more interested in the sociology of sports, the stories, the narratives, than I am in the details of the games. Today's guest list is not very sports-related. William H. Macy and David Simon, creator of The Wire, are going to be on with us. And the most interesting parts, to me, of the Kyrie Irving trade are not X's and O's related. I don't care very much that Cleveland just got worse on defense.
Right.
I don't care very much that Cleveland did the best they could do under the circumstances, but it's still a worse team than it was before.
Right. Neither team is better than the Golden State Warriors. That's it.
Well, but that's not it, though. I wouldn't say that that's it, because I do find interesting that Boston decided, despite knowing that, to play for now and tomorrow, because their team is young, right? Their team is now very young. Isaiah Thomas was talking about Brinks truck money. He was wearing Brinks truck flip-flops. You don't want to pay that guy Brinks truck money. You don't. But you don't mind give Kyrie Irving a max if you got to do it on the extension.
If Kyrie wants to stay there.
I know, but I mind giving Isaiah Thomas a max. I don't want to give him a max.
I'm completely with you.
He's a limited player, and while he's a fun story,
he's coming off that hip injury, and he's going to be 31 years old when he signs that max deal.
This is why both teams did the best they could under the circumstances, but it's not what I'm interested in here.
Okay.
There are two things that I'm interested in here. One, Kyrie Irving, with no power, created power. Kyrie Irving got out of his situation early and did this moving thing better than Carmelo, better than LeBron, better than Paul George, did it better than anybody, because while Cleveland might be mad at him today, they're also hopeful because they've got a bunch of stuff and they can now start preparing for the future with Brooklyn's number one pick. They're actually prepared to start doing the post-LeBron work that they weren't ready for last time.
Yeah, that's interesting. They have enough to get back to the NBA Finals this year, and now they have that asset, that Nets pick, so they can build for the future.
My point on this is the following. The Cleveland Cavaliers, in their entire history, the best managing they've ever done is to have a generational player born near their arena.
Right.
Everything else they've done has been wrong. And what Kyrie Irving has just done, Kyrie Irving and LeBron James have managed to fix all of that organization's mismanagement. And what Kyrie Irving just did is he forced the Cleveland Cavaliers to do their job correctly. Forced them, because they were going to get stuck with nothing after both of these guys.
Right.
And so he just forced upon them competence.
Sure.
Which is a fairly amazing thing with no power, to do from a position of no power because he was under contract for 2 years.
It does help, though, having LeBron James there and Dan Gilbert kind of knowing, and the Cavs knowing that this is LeBron's last year, right?
But regardless, what I'm saying is Cleveland handled this best because Kyrie handled it for them, and
Correct.
They handled it correctly. They got rid of a guy who's unhappy, but they wouldn't have if he had not handled it for them. When left to their own devices, that organization mismanages its way to losing LeBron James probably twice. That's what's probably going to end up happening
Sure.
here.
But Kyrie did their job. He helped them do their job. He made them do their job because they would have been left without LeBron James, eventually Kyrie Irving. They would have been left with nothing.
That's one part of it that I find interesting. The other part of it that I find interesting is that Danny Ainge has been hugely stingy until now. And I don't feel like the until now is about Kyrie Irving right now. I feel like Danny Ainge caved on this, not because of what he thinks that Kyrie Irving brings to his team solely, but because he realizes what it does to the Cavaliers. Like, if Kyrie Irving played for another team, I don't think Danny Ainge is trading for him. Not this way. I think he gets the added bonus of nuking the team that he knows he can't beat. You understand what I'm saying there, right? Like, I don't think, do you think that Danny Ainge makes this exact same trade if Kyrie Irving plays for anyone else in the league? Because I don't. Because he's been unwilling to make this trade for Jimmy Butler. He's been unwilling to make this trade for Paul George. Right. Now, at the time, he didn't have Gordon Hayward, which does change the math a little bit. But Boston knows they're not good enough to beat Golden State right now. But what they did yesterday was make themselves good enough to beat Cleveland in their mind. Good enough to beat Cleveland, which is why they were trading specifically for that piece. It's not as much, or it's as much about how it helps them as it is how much it hurts Cleveland.
Weaken the team that you're trying to beat in the Eastern Conference, even though I still think the Cavaliers are better, but you said it perfectly. In their mind, that's what they think. They now think that they're a better team than the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And they think they can compete. They didn't think that with the team they had that was losing by 50 at home in a playoff game. They think that now. And it's a reasonable thing for them to think. Because I'm telling you, hey, am I absurd with this? Am I absurd with what I'm about to say? Because I know you guys think of Kyrie Irving differently because of the last 3 seasons, but I don't think of him differently. He's a very good player who happened to have the benefit of playing with LeBron James for the last 3 years. Can I make the argument that Gordon Hayward's still better than Kyrie Irving? I can make that, couldn't I? I haven't looked at the numbers. I have not put the numbers by each other from last year. But is it an argument that I can make, yes or no? Because I don't think the audience thinks it's an argument I can make because of how they think of Kyrie Irving. But what I'm telling you is, if Gordon Hayward had played in Cleveland the last 3 years instead of Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving had played in Utah, you'd think right now that whatever you think of Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward would be reversed if they happen to have switch places with each other.
I mean, I'm certain it sounds silly to a lot of people because you've seen Kyrie Irving play in the NBA Finals the last 3 years. You saw him hit the biggest shot in Cavalier history. He basically won the NBA Finals at Golden State. But you can make that. I'm looking at the numbers right now. You can make that argument.
Whatever it is, I haven't looked at the numbers. But what I'm telling you is whatever the numbers show, there isn't going to be much of a difference. There's going to be an arguable difference, but not much of a difference between what Gordon Hayward is as a player and what Kyrie Irving is as a player. Now you have two of them when you didn't have any of them. You had Isaiah Thomas. Boston Celtics didn't have any of those guys, and now they've got two because Isaiah Thomas is a lesser player than either of those two guys.
Agreed.
I haven't looked at the numbers in comparison to Kyrie Irving, but during free agency, I was looking at the numbers Gordon Hayward compared to Paul George, and when you look at all the metrics, you can make the argument that they are essentially the same player, and some might give certain edges to Gordon Hayward. Now put Paul George on the Cavs, you certainly feel a certain way that he could absolutely be Kyrie.
Boston is built correctly for this reason. They've gotten good players who are hard to come by. They've gotten some of them free. They've traded for them, and all of them are young. Boston has rebuilt the way that you rebuild. They stole the Nets picks. The Nets have been awful for a while. At the time, the Nets were getting super teams with Darren Williams, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce on the cover. Brooklyn had one relevant season and then stopped being relevant.
With the exception of Horford, you're right. They are young. I mean, Jaylen Brown is a young guy. Jason Tatum, a young guy. Kyrie Irving, of course, is a young guy. And I asked Mike before the show started today, how many more assets do the Celtics have? They have a ton. They have the Lakers' first-round pick next year. They have a Memphis pick down the road, a Sacramento or Philadelphia pick down the road. First-round picks, by the way.
And Dan and Stu, you can make the argument that they sold on that Nets pick at the right time because the Nets might have improved a little bit, and so many teams in the East got so much worse that maybe that's not a surefire lock to be the number one pick.
I believe. What do you guys believe about this? Would Danny Ainge have made this exact same trade? Because Cleveland got a haul for someone in a position where they weren't in a position to get a haul. Would Danny Ainge have made this trade if Kyrie Irving played for any other team in the league? Because my answer is no on that. I think he wants to end Cleveland now. I think he wants to start the process of Brad Stevens winning with young people. You know how it works in basketball. You never win right away. You have to wait a couple of years. You have to do some suffering for a couple of years. Not the first round suffering that they've been doing, and not the suffering that they did against Cleveland where they weren't even really close.
I still think he makes the trade, Dan, because I think what he was telling you was he has no intention of signing Isaiah Thomas after this season. This was an easy way to get yourself out from underneath Isaiah Thomas because Celtic fans, that city has grown to love him. I still think he makes the trade because it makes his team better.
I know.
It makes his team better. That's
I know,
it.
but Paul George and Jimmy Butler would have made his team better, too.
But Paul George was on a one-year deal, and, there were all kinds of rumors that he wanted to go to L.A. And Jimmy Butler, I don't know what was.
His contract is over.
No, but I was going to say I don't know what the Bulls were thinking. They probably should have been more aggressive going after Jimmy Butler. They weren't for whatever reason.
We all laughed at Danny Ainge's inability to pull off the big deal, but when you look at this big deal, it was made because of smaller deals. They turned Brendan Wright into Jay Crowder. They turned Marcus Thornton and a first-round pick into Isaiah Thomas. They turned Isaiah Thomas into Kyrie Irving. It's incredibly impressive.
That team is well run. That team is really well run.
Yeah.
And they took the hit that you need to take in order to get bad for a couple of years so that you could, and they took the hits they should have taken on not trading any of those assets, never getting anybody until they got Gordon Hayward in place. I don't think they trade. When you say for whatever reasons, I think the difference, the reason they didn't trade for Jimmy Butler and Paul George and didn't get in those games interested in a way that was huge, in a way that they just did now with their Brooklyn picks, is because they had Gordon Hayward in already, and now they could get around to team building. They didn't want to do it for Paul George or Jimmy Butler in a way that might have kept Gordon Hayward from going there.
And a testament to how well that organization is run, they didn't romanticize a number one seed. They're bringing in almost an entirely new starting five. They know that they're not good enough. So many teams get swept away with thinking that they're close.
I want to see that coach with players because I've seen him max out, overachieve, and be better than I ever thought he'd be with guys who aren't that good. Now he's got players.
Can't wait for the Eastern Conference Finals. Like LeBron guarding Kyrie. He is going to club Kyrie over the head. They're going to win that series in 4 games. They're going to win each game by 40 points.
He's remarkable, but you don't even have to wait for the Eastern Conference Finals. Opening night, Celtics at Cavs.
Oh, nice.
Stugotz.
Come on. LeBron is licking his chops. He cannot wait. As far as LeBron's concerned, the Eastern Conference Finals this year is the NBA Finals. He doesn't care what happens after that against the Warriors. He knows he's going to lose that one. Him against Kyrie, that is the NBA Finals this year for LeBron. Sweep every game by 40. That's where I wanted to take the conversation.
Do you realize, though, how many times you've made that prediction over the last few years and how many times it's been wrong?
Every time.
There was once that it was right. There was once that it was right.
Close to being right. I don't think it was right. I said 40, they won by like 37.
There was once that it was right, but you keep making the prediction. You're like 1 for 40 on the prediction. But it has been right once.
Thank you.
Dan Batard.
White people mad? Try to get me fired. Go ahead. Get petitions together.
Stugotz.
Come on, white people, oppressed white people. Rise up. Form a union. Gather around. You can be united on something. It's mad at me.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Catch me and Mike Gola Jr. every Sunday for Weekend Observations from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
What's the Suey we're going to get to in 10 minutes, Mike? The Sueys are our Oscars. People are very excited about them. We've been doing a lot of laughing. They've made the last couple of shows go by very quickly because we just do year-in-review stuff every year at the end of August where we just sort of get nostalgic about all the stuff that we've done over the last year and laugh at some of the memories. What's the first category today?
We are debuting a new category today. Stephen A. Smith moment.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's going to be a big one.
Many could argue Stephen A. Smith was our show's MVP this year.
That's fairly amazing considering he's not on this show.
Let's put that on a poll.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was Stephen A. Smith the show's MVP this year? Yes or no? He's not even trying. He doesn't know about our show, doesn't care about our show.
No.
He's bothered by all our phone calls. Will you come on our show? And he might have been the star of our show. It's like Mike Trout winning team MVP for a team that he's not on.
I mean, Stephen A. is the best ever, man. He is making other shows. He really is. He's making other shows better. without being a part of those other shows. He's making everyone better.
Do you realize how hard it would be for him to make his radio show better by using sound from ours? We asked that question yesterday about, like, who would do whose job better, Roger Goodell as cruise ship captain or cruise ship captain as Roger Goodell. We are able to take Stephen A's sound. He's so good, and he is able to make our show good by just appearing on our show in whatever form he appears in.
Yeah.
If he were to try to use the sounds from our show on his show, we would make his show worse.
By the way, 83% of the audience said that the captain would do a better job as Roger Goodell.
Thank you for updating that poll from yesterday.
It seemed like important information to get out there.
Well, to be fair, it's an indictment on Roger Goodell's inability to master a ship and crew.
Right. Okay. Do you guys realize that Stephen A. Smith in sports is the guy who makes everyone better, and we're the guy who makes everyone worse? Who's the guy in sports who makes everyone worse? You always hear about, like, Shaquille O'Neal and LeBron James make everyone better. Like, I'm going to nominate Blake Bortles right now. Who do you beat me with? If I nominate Blake Bortles for he makes everyone worse, like, I'm pretty sure,
That's tricky.
I'm pretty sure we would know who those Jags receivers are if they played with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, but that's tricky. He's so bad he gets him in an early hole. Then he has garbage time, and he makes Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson fantasy studs.
All right, well, that's why it's a good conversation. Who makes everyone worse? You're always hearing the compliment in sports, and really, there's only 2 times in basketball that I've seen it, because Shaq and LeBron are people who, when you look at the career shooting percentages of everyone around them, they are made better by playing with the attention and the distributing of Shaq and LeBron James. But I want to do this on the opposite end. Who in sports, you get that guy? Because I thought this is the testament to LeBron James. I thought J.R. Smith was that guy, and then J.R. Smith gets over there, and all of a sudden everybody wants J.R. Smith.
Yeah, he's a champion, right?
I kind of think Isaiah Thomas
he might be that
is
guy.
That guy. I actually truly believe Isaiah Thomas is that guy.
How about Carmelo Anthony?
Hold on a second.
Name the player he's made better.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I think Mike's got a good one here, because now Isaiah Thomas, I believe you could throw anything into the LeBron vortex, and what will come out is going to be better than it was, Isaiah Thomas included. But Isaiah Thomas is going to be a tough test, because when the hell has LeBron James ever had a 30-point-a-game scorer on his team? When has LeBron James ever had?
Well, you have Wade, right?
Well, he's got J.R. Smith sitting right there. They're just not using.
No, whoa! I'm not saying that Wade's not a good scorer. I'm not saying Kyrie's not a good scorer. I'm saying Isaiah Thomas averaged 30 points a game.
Yeah,
that was a thing that actually happened. I'm not saying that those guys aren't capable of it. I'm saying they've never done it.
right.
Your best bet is Isaiah Thomas going to be the same player this season?
Well, he can't be.
There you go.
Well, he's not going to be the same scorer.
He's not going to.
But this is the thing I want to ask about Kyrie, since we know Kyrie's narrative has changed so much in the last 3 years. Kyrie was an injured bum loser who couldn't get to the playoffs before LeBron James. And I do wonder, if LeBron James has a sidekick, is he going to turn him into Kyrie Irving, if he's a competent sidekick? Not all those Mo Williamses and all those people that he was playing with. I'm talking about at this point in his career, if I put Gordon Hayward next to LeBron, if I put Paul George next to LeBron, Jimmy Butler next to LeBron, if I take these guys, Isaiah Thomas next to LeBron, am I getting a player who's going to end up looking a lot like Kyrie Irving?
It's obvious. You put any great player who didn't really have much around him or believed to not have much around him on a team with LeBron, their stats are going to suffer. But that's not why I think Isaiah Thomas is going to appear worse to us. We're going to comparison shop to just him last year, siphoning off opportunities from everybody else on his team. We don't really know how good the rest of those offensive pieces that Boston had were, because he is a usage monster.
Right. He did get them to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I know, but Stugotz, he's talking specifically about the teammates. He's not going to be able to look like that when LeBron James is controlling the basketball.
But can he look like Kyrie Irving or something close to Kyrie Irving?
I don't think so.
I think he can.
I don't think he gets that kind of usage rate. I don't think he gets that kind of run. Kyrie Irving was still top 10 in usage rate.
Do we believe the Cavs to be worse today than they were yesterday?
Yes, but we also believe them to have done the best from among bad options. They did well. They're worse, but they got as much as they possibly could have gotten for that pick, which is a hard thing to do in the circumstance that they were in.
Dan Le Batard.
Ooh. Guillermo, sassy.
Stugotz.
You're sexy when you're sassy.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. William H. Macy going to be there at noon Eastern. David Simon, creator of The Wire, will be there at 12:30 Eastern. Get in touch with the show anytime to the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed at Le Batard Show at Stugotz790. Nothing makes a summer birthday or anniversary more magical than 1-800-Flowers.com. And right now, when you order a dozen multicolored roses for just $29.99, you'll get another dozen absolutely free. It's simple. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN.
There's going to be a lot of talk today. There's going to be a lot of talk today all over the network about Kyrie Irving and the Celtics and the Cavs. This is what I believe to be the bottom line on this.
Right. This is it, huh?
This is it. This is it in a kernel. You don't need to hear anything else. I'm about to give you, there's a lot of sports information out there, right, and you need to be efficient about how you consume it. So I'm going to give you the multivitamin for the day on this subject.
All right.
Okay?
Yep.
All you need on this subject. You don't need to, oh, for the love of God.
That's down the road. I'm just saying the road. At this next year's number one pick doesn't exist on the court.
I'm just telling you that the European dude we have never seen before, Max, don't give us him. We don't even know what he can do. We don't even know if he can carry water. Just stop. Can we get down to what matters? Can we talk about what matters? You can't even pronounce his name. You, Mr. Eloquent, you can't even pronounce his name, and you bringing him up like we care? Forget him. Let's get down to what this is really about. What this is really about. This is really about LeBron. This is really about LeBron.
What are you talking about?
Can we get to points that really, really matter?
If I would have brought up Jay Crowder to you 2 years ago, this is the reaction you would have given me.
So I'm trying to talk to LeBron, and you don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear about LeBron because you want to bring up some European player that none of us have ever seen. None of us. None of us. You don't even know if he can carry water.
Let me break it down this way.
Can I mention LeBron? Can I get to my point about LeBron?
Hold on. The draft pick doesn't exist yet, so that doesn't concern the Warriors right now, right? Isaiah Thomas is not better than Kyrie, so that's not what's going to concern the Warriors right now. The difference on the team in terms of getting better are the.
And now his hand is on his chin and he's staring dismissively.
We give Stephen A. all the praise, but they have gotten good together. They have got Max is fantastic.
Steve has
I focused on.
Nobody was arguing with it. We just said we don't care. You still talking about dudes we don't care about. Crowder, we know what he could do. We don't know anything about the European player. So can I get to LeBron? Can I get to LeBron? First of all, Crowder's presence allows LeBron to defend Durant straight up with no excuses, who just averaged 35.
All right. So that's the only capsule you need on the Kyrie Irving trade.
Was that the bottom line?
No, that wasn't the bottom line. Here's the bottom line.
All right.
I'm going to give you the bottom line in fewer words. Right. Can I get to my point? Can I get to it? Can I finish my thought? Boston is better. Cleveland is worse. That's Kyrie's fault. I don't blame Cleveland fans for being mad at him. Period.
Now, who are your 5 players that matter?
Let's go. I have my list.
Got my list, too.
Let's go. I wrote them down.
I only have 4.
All right, that's
wow,
fine.
Only 4.
Okay, that's even a hotter take.
Durant, LeBron, Steph Curry, Kawhi are the only 4 who matter. They're the only 4 who change things when they get somewhere.
Stugotz?
I got LeBron, Westbrook, Harden, KD, Steph, the Greek Freak, Kawhi, and Lonzo Ball.
I got LeBron, Kawhi, Durant, Steph, and Deion Waiters.
Right.
Oh, nice.
All
yes.
Right. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Excellent list. I wonder how I can only come up with 4.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, you know, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Dan Le Batard.
Michael Jordan never scored 70 in a game.
No, but he scored 60-something in a legendary playoff game that they won.
Stugotz.
They lost.
Did they really?
They lost, yeah.
Wow, breaking news.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Hang on, Dano. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, creators of the Name Your Price tool. Choose from a range of coverage options and pick the price that works for you. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. I am nervous. Here's your SportsCenter update. Odell Beckham Jr.'s ankle injury could potentially keep the Giants wide receiver out of the season opener, sources told ESPN's Jordan Rannin and Dan Graziano. Jordan, I apologize. I feel like I butchered that name. I have no idea if it's Rannin. How would you pronounce that, Dan?
Just keep it moving.
Well, here's the tough part. Civil rights attorney Cyrus Murray? All right, we'll go with that.
If it's Murray, it doesn't seem like it's that
You're
difficult.
uncomfortable with the names. Like, was there a question mark in his last name?
Yeah, I'm asking. Anyway, Cyrus co-wrote the NFL's Rooney Rule, and he plans to challenge DeMaurice Smith for his job as executive director of the NFL Players Association. And finally, a Waterloo man wanted on sex offense charges was arrested Monday by the U.S. Marshal Service while attempting to view the solar eclipse in Cedar Rapids. According to a news release from the U.S. Marshal Service, Ladarius M. Blue had been wanted for failing to register as a sex offender. Blue has been unaccounted for since early June. Surveillance was set up in Cedar Rapids, and law enforcement enforcers were able to positively identify Blue as he exited a residence in what appeared to be an attempt to observe the solar eclipse. When task force members approached Blue, he led them on a foot chase before he was ultimately captured. Wasn't that difficult. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. I don't know what happened there.
William H. Macy is going to join us in an hour. David Simon, creator of The Wire, is going to join us in an hour and a half. What happened there is you referred to enforcers as infarters. That's what happened there.
There's no way.
That is what happened.
There's no way I did that. I said enforcers?
Yep. Yes. That's what
you don't even need to go to the
It wasn't even supposed to be enforcers. It was officers.
Okay, so you made officers enforcers, and then enforcers became infarters. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the Stugotz experience. So before we get into the Stephen A. Smith, professional broadcaster, before we get into the Stephen A. Smith experience, many of you are writing in. I love this one. This makes an appearance. Le Batard, have some talk about Robert Lee. Talk about the ESPN Robert Lee controversy. Have some I don't want to have some I'll have some later in the show. Right now, I'd like to enjoy some Stephen A. Smith.
And now, the Suey nominees for Best Stephen A. Smith Moment. Stephen A. reacts to the Lakers hiring Magic Johnson.
Ah! It is official, ladies and gentlemen. It is official. The Los Angeles Lakers have just announced minutes ago during the commercial break that Magic Johnson, Irvin Magic Johnson, is the new president of basketball operations.
Stephen A. calls one of Tim Tebow's spring training at bats.
The one and only Tim Tebow is about to come up to bat for the New York Mets. He's about to face live major league pitching. Just took a pitch, outside corner, strike. Tim Tebow from Makati, Philippines, 6'3", 255 pounds. Just took a strike on the outside corner. Another strike. That's a strike. How was that a ball? The referee. Oh, come on. Come on. I'm sorry, y'all. I got to get a little distracted here. I'm a little excited because I'm rooting for my friend, Tim Tebow, to get a hit here. Oh, strike two. He just swung and missed on a pitch. Outside corner. Tim Tebow, slow bat speed, y'all. Slow bat speed. I smell a strikeout coming. I hope I'm wrong. But I just smell it coming. Nope, low. Oh, that's a bad call by the umpire. I got to give credit where credit is due. Tim Tebow did not deserve that third strike call. Bad call by the umpire.
Stephen A. is furious with the Knicks.
Good afternoon. This is Stephen A. Right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. The hell with the music right now. I am having a very bad day. I'm having a very bad day.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty damn ticked off. I mean, I cannot believe The kind of nonsense that I am hearing right now. And I don't know how much of this I'm going to take today. I'll be the first to admit it. I am warning y'all ahead of time. Do not call me today and get on my damn nerves. I'm trying to tell you something right now. ESPN's not going to stop me, damn it. FCC Airways might not stop me. I'm that ticked off. Yes. I mean, I'm sitting up here and it's bad enough. I wake up this morning and I grab my oatmeal, throw some almond milk in there, some cinnamon and some little bit of brown sugar, some blueberries. And I go on first take. And while I'm on first take, I receive the news that the New York Knicks are open to trading Kristaps Porzingis. You have got to be kidding me. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's all good in respective cities, it seems, except New York. I mean, my God. I just can't take this. I just can't take it. I can't take it. This is unbelievable.
Stephen A. argues with LeVar Ball.
You gonna beat Michael Jordan? You take him one-on-one? Really?
Michael Jordan?
Really? I'm just saying, you would take Michael Jordan one-on-one.
Like I told you,
you know better than that.
No, you know better than that. Guess what the story is now? Who's better, LeVar or Michael Jordan?
Nobody think about no damn LeVar.
Yes, they are. Look at you. Who we talking about?
Think about no LeVar. Are you good? Lonzo, yes. Not LeVar.
Lonzo don't want to see me. I'm too big, too strong.
We talking about the GOAT here, the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, and you running your mouth talking about you going to beat him one-on-one. Why would you say something so blasphemous?
In my heyday, he would need help.
Really?
He's too small. His name is big, and y'all like, it was a 5-on-5 game, he good. One-on-one, I'm undefeated, never lost.
Stephen A. Smith sings Phil Collins' Susudio.
Love this song.
Happier. It's not upset about anything.
Phil Collins, y'all don't know about that man.
Stephen A. Smith sings The Gap Band's Outstanding.
Oh, this is my kind of music right here. Y'all got to know something about this. You young whippersnappers, you got to listen to the old school fellas know about this. Girl, you're looking sweet tonight. Ow!
Yeah!
You like my
Eventually.
I ain't gonna do it to you.
Stephen A. is furious with John Tortorella.
Don't get me started with that damn Tortorella. You wearing the red, white, and blue. You understand what the flag means. You heard them brothers tell you this has nothing to do with the military. It has everything to do with the social injustices that our community has suffered from for decades, if not longer. And you're going to sit up there with a straight face and say you wouldn't allow somebody to play for Team USA. Who the hell are you to coach Team USA when you don't stand for what USA stands for? USA is about freedom. This is the United States of America. It ain't the United States of Tortorella. Who the hell do you think you are?
Stephen A. isn't happy with Dabo Swinney's comments.
Dabo Swinney is absolutely right when he says times have gotten better. But who the hell is he to determine how better it has gotten? How do you know? When did you stroll around black? When did you get pulled over by police officers? When were you assaulted? When were you murdered? When did this happen? I'm sorry I missed it.
Stephen A. can't believe Max wants Blake Griffin over Carmelo Anthony.
Kevin Durant, Steph Curry.
I'm saying he's top.
Russell Westbrook.
Go ahead, keep going.
Blake Griffin.
No.
You take Carmelo over Blake Griffin?
Excuse me.
You're the one.
No. I would not take Carmelo
I wish you were a GM and
Wait a
minute.
I would not take Carmelo over Blake Griffin because Blake Griffin is younger.
Who's
but I'm talking about ability. Melo.
No.
Blake Griffin. Let me ask you a question. Come postseason time. Who do you want? You want Blake Griffin or you want Melo?
Blake Griffin.
You want Blake Griffin over Carmelo Anthony?
Easily.
I don't even know what to say to you right now. I don't even know what to say to you right now.
Well, I'm not done.
Keep going.
Stephen A. thinks someone slipped something into James Harden's drink.
I don't know what happened. I don't know how to explain it. There needs to be an investigation. Somebody might have slipped something into his drink. Somebody might have done something to him. I have no clue, but it is not James Harden. That was not James Harden that showed up for the Houston Rockets tonight. Somebody with his jersey showed up. It wasn't him. I cannot believe what I saw.
Stephen A. discusses fairness.
Fair is a place where they judge pigs. It does not exist. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
Stephen A. responds to Kevin Durant's mom.
She also brought up the move to ESPN and how, that was weak. Let me tell you
that was the similar move that Kevin Durant made.
With all due respect, it may have been weaker for ESPN to ever let me go in the first place because I should have still been here. All right? So let's just call it what it is. This is I did not go to a new home. I came back to a home where I belonged all along.
Stephen A. defends Magic Johnson as an analyst.
Let me be very, very clear. When it comes to commentary, pundency, talking about the game of basketball, I'm just talking about on television, not just your content, the combination of content and personality and presentation and all of those things. I'm not talking about one or the other. I'm talking about the combination, the compilation of it all. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I think I'm the best in America. I really do. I don't give a damn. And it's no insult or disrespect to anybody. I could be wrong because it's very, very subjective. I'll put it out there. I think I'm the best.
Could be wrong.
I really do. But when ESPN comes to me and says to me, Stephen A., you're not on NBA shoot-around or NBA countdown because we got Irvin Magic Johnson. You know what I did? I said, you're damn right. Because he's Irvin Magic Johnson.
That's right. That's right. Yes! Yes!
Thank you, Stephen A. Thank you.
That was a heroic act. That was an act of heroism and courage. That was amazing. God bless America. God bless the United States of Tortorella.
Would you pay money to watch Stephen A. do karaoke?
Put it on the poll right there at Batard Show. Would you pay to watch Stephen A. do karaoke? Also, would you pay to hear my father say the word furious correctly?
I know I would.
He has a hard time with the word furious. Also, in the middle of that, and that is a loaded category, I do want to again go back to on ESPN and Disney television, LeVar Ball and Stephen A. Smith were having a serious argument about whether LeVar Ball could take Michael Jordan in one-on-one. That's something that happened on the worldwide leader, right? and it endures for eternity.
Hey, these stats are not going to read themselves.
Oh, good God.
Man,
that is somehow at once. Do you realize how hard it is to do what Stephen A. Smith does for this very reason? Right here, what I'm about to say. That is at once the best thing that ESPN does, and it's also the single best spoof of everything ESPN does. It's somehow both of those things. Because once you get to the part of LeVar Ball arguing about whether he beat Michael Jordan, you've arrived at spoof television.
Yes, you have.
Don Batard. I just looked over my shoulder where Max and Stephen A. were talking to Snoop Dogg about whether or not LeBron is top 5 all time. Get the hell out of here.
Stugotz.
Who's responsible? Is that you, Salatoro? Who's responsible for that at ESPN? Because that person needs to be punished publicly. Brofsky, is that you? Robert, bald guy in sales. Who did that? You waste his time with is LeBron top 5 all time. I hate you.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We've got another Suey category coming up in 10 minutes. This is dismissals. It tends to be a pretty Stugotz-heavy category because he loves dismissing people. Mike, how do you feel about this category? How do you feel? Do you feel like this is good, strong? Because the Stephen A. Smith one was loaded. A lot of the categories have been loaded. Very hard to vote on just one winner.
It's always a solid category. It's been around for a couple of years now. Some years it's been Best Picture. This year it's not Best Picture because Dan Mistake is Best Picture, but a solid year once again for Stugotz dismissal.
All right. So that's coming up in 10 minutes.
I should just say dismissal because he wasn't the only person in the mood.
No, right. But he is a dominant. He is dominant at dismissing.
He's the favorite to win.
Yes, always, every year. He's the Warriors, every year. He's built a super team of dismissal. So many of you are writing in. You're saying that we're cowards because we won't discuss this Robert Lee thing. So here is where we are with the Robert Lee thing. ESPN switched assignments because there was going to be a game in Charlottesville. You may have heard that Charlottesville has been undergoing some public unrest lately that involves a surprise resurgence by Nazism. And so ESPN pulled a Robert Lee off of the game, at least in part because Robert Lee had gone to ESPN and said, hey, this may be weird if I'm doing a broadcast in Charlottesville and my name is Robert Lee and we're fighting over Confederate statues and people are going to get mad about it. And so ESPN sent out an internal memo that then became public and is viewed as too politically correct because they pulled Robert Lee off of the game. Robert Lee's not insistence, but Robert Lee had rightfully, understandably, didn't want to be the middle of just calling a game, and people are going to be pointing out the irony or the silliness of this guy's name being Robert Lee in Charlottesville.
It's more of a suggestion by Robert Lee, right? And he's entitled to make that suggestion.
But it is exactly the kind of thing I would be making fun of from afar if I were interested in making fun of ESPN snowflake ways and and how cowardice has taken over and political correctness. It's something, and ESPN wanted to avoid the mockery on the other side of this, which was coming. If they put Robert Lee on a game in Charlottesville, it would have become a bunch of GIFs and memes about how could ESPN be so stupid, what a stupid oversight. But instead, they're criticized for going the other way, which is just pulling him off the game, and now they're being too politically correct.
Reassigning him to another game. It's not like he's losing work.
Right.
He's working the Youngstown State Pittsburgh game.
Right, but I get both sides on this, though. I get why it is that people would make fun of this and say ESPN is being being too reactionary and too overreactionary.
And you get the people who are criticizing ESPN, so you get it, and you get Robert Lee's side. Of course.
But I get ESPN sort of saying, we don't want the GIFs. We're just going to pull him off this game. But you realize the no-win position ESPN is in there, right? If ESPN pulls him off, you're going to make fun of him. If ESPN puts him on, you're going to make fun of him. Like that's the position. So they chose what they believed to be the lesser of those options, which is, not to have another slave auction on air or something that looked like a slave auction a week ago on air, and it was a bad look. And that was a whole nother set of issues, which is why it is you have to have in the meetings before you do things some diversity. That's the reason that right there, the way that looked is the reason you need to put diverse voices and types in power so they can warn you when during Charlottesville you're doing a fantasy trade auction that looks like a slave auction. It's one of the very good reasons that you need to have black, brown voices just heard in the room when you're making decisions.
Understood. But you kind of feel for the guy who's there to spice up 36 hours of fantasy football and is tasked with how do we spice up fantasy auctions.
No, I don't feel bad for him. I think that's funny.
Don Batard.
People have told me before, when I was younger, that I looked like George Clooney. I'm serious. When I was younger.
Stugotz.
You have a booger in your right nostril.
So does Clooney.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Sometimes I feel like we, the sports people, can't be trusted with the serious stuff, and that's what happens with this Robert Lee, quote-unquote, scandal. Like, the whole thing is stupid. The whole thing is remarkably silly, and I wish we could have some more fun with it. For example, I wish ESPN had gone ahead and just assigned Robert Lee to that game. I wish that then the jokes would have started. Can you believe how stupid ESPN is putting Robert Lee to broadcast a game in Charlottesville? And then I wish ESPN had just sent out a statement that read, he's Asian, and nothing else. Like no other answers, nothing. Just he's Asian, just nothing, no explanation, just 2 words, he's Asian. Also, Stugotz was making me laugh here because during the break he was saying there is some skit here that can be done off of this on Saturday Night Live,
yes,
where there's somebody coming in to the ESPN office is complaining that he doesn't want to broadcast the
Maccabee games.
Is that how you pronounce it? I don't
Maccabee games.
Did you just pronounce that wrong?
Maccabee games.
Did you just pronounce that wrong in your religion? Maccabea? Is that what you just said?
The Maccabee games.
Well, if there's a broadcaster that comes into the room and it suddenly doesn't understand, and he's trying to explain to ESPN's executives, and his name is Adolf. All right, dismissals.
And now, the Suey nominees for Best Dismissals. Stugotz dismisses Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock.
Colin Cowherd get over yourself, man. I don't even know where you are. I don't know how to find you. I have no idea. And Jason Whitlock, shame on you, writing articles. You had a big opportunity here. You know who blew it? You did, Whitlock. And now you're somewhere where I can't find you. I can find both of you on Twitter. But here's the thing with both these guys. I'm really not interested in what anyone who was with ESPN has to say about ESPN right now. I don't care. Colin Cowherd predicted this. He told his staff when ESPN signed its recent NBA deal that ESPN is done. Guess who's not done, Colin Cowherd? ESPN. Guess who's not done? This radio show. Guess who's just getting started? Us. Guess who is done? You are. You are finished. And Jason Whitlock, you should be ashamed of yourself because now you're buddy-buddy with Colin Cowherd. All the things that I know you've said about Colin Cowherd behind his back. You want to know why I know you said them? Because you said them to me. You said them to me, Whitlock.
Stugotz misses the Chicago Cubs.
Stugotz proclaimed himself tired of the Cubs during the commercial break.
Yep, tired of them, their fans, Theo, Joe Madden. Like, they just give off this, hey, we know more than you do, and we're smarter than you are, and Joe Madden, I got news for you. You are not. You are a baseball manager. That's it. Get over it and get over yourself. And just because you wear those ridiculous glasses does not give you the reason to think you're smarter than I am. Sorry. But that's the way it comes off. I'm tired of them. That team, them, their fan base.
Dan dismisses Steve Aoki.
I don't know if you actually respect Steve Aoki or not, but you came off like you didn't care for him at all.
Oh, I don't. But he was very nice. I don't care for his music. I don't care for what he represents. I don't care about the genre. I don't care about the young people who like that genre. I think it's offensive and blasphemous that they have replaced the true musicians that do real art throughout the world. I think he's a sham stealing money, a professional thief.
Stugotz dismisses Bob Dylan.
What is happening right now with you and Bob Dylan is you're disrespecting everything the man has done in his career because he hasn't served you at sleepaway camp.
He doesn't interact with anyone at the camp.
I know, but
in fact, I just learned he hasn't been to visiting day in 2 years. I mean, go visit your kid. You send your kid away for 7 to 8 weeks over the summer, and you get to see him or her once per summer for 24 to 48 hours. Go check out your kid. Go hang out with your kid. And the voice is overrated. The writing is fantastic. The voice is overrated. I mean, you have to agree with me on that.
Stugotz dismisses Jack White.
Let me tell you, the last place I'm going for children advice, for child advice, for parenting advice, the last place I'm going is to Jack White and his stupid book.
Okay.
Jack White. And honestly, who is Jack White? Pretentious Jack White. Hey, I'm going to fire up a children's book. Tell you how to parent your kids. Leave me alone. Just write new songs. Stop writing books. Write new songs.
Stugotz dismisses Paul Pierce.
Listen, I'm done tiptoeing around the issues around here, and I am telling you, Paul Pierce, I'm done. Like, I'm just going to let it fly. You're not going to correct me. I am happy. I've never felt better than I feel right now. Paul Pierce criticizing Kevin Durant for joining the Golden State Warriors and creating a super team when Paul Pierce was the first one to do it is absurd. Shut up.
Stugotz dismisses Ryan Russillo.
When I want my NBA information and I'm scrolling through the list of people I want my NBA information from, I am going a long ways before I get to Ryan Russillo. I can tell you that. It's seriously. NBA expert, NBA analyst, Ryan Russillo. How many threes did you hit in high school? Because I have the Long Island record for 6 threes and a half of a high school game. What did you do in high school?
Papi dismisses LeBron James. LeBron James. The most overrated player in the NBA, the crybaby of the NBA. He's the only player in the NBA that about every call that goes against him, and the referees are so scared of him that they walk away from him. And he keeps following the referee. And when he complains, Adam Silver hides under his desk, giving whatever he wants. LeBron James. Papi dismisses Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade, another crybaby. He pulled the the same Stugotz LeBron does. The only thing is that he likes more than LeBron. He says, I always love to play for my hometown, Chicago. Now, after a season, he's blaming Pat Riley on everything that happened in Miami. He's as funny as a $3 bill. Now, $24 million a year. Boy, that's highway robbery. There's posters all over Chicago. It says, wanted, Dwayne Wade for robbery. Dwayne Wade. Stugotz is Mrs. LaMarcus Aldridge.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Awful.
I mean,
no, he's an embarrassment, man. I'm telling you, Greg Popovich is going to get rid of that guy in the offseason. He was an embarrassment last night. He is so out of shape. There are so many times where the Rockets were playing 5-on-4 on offense because LaMarcus Aldridge was walking back on defense. He's bad. He's not a good player. I don't know what happened to him because when he was in Portland, he was fantastic. He is not good, Dan. He cost them the game last night. Although they won the game. But had they lost, I'm telling you, it would have been on LaMarcus Aldridge. And the only reason it's not is because they won the game. Otherwise, San Antonio would be crushing him today. And I'm still going to crush him even though they won.
Stugotz is Mrs. Al Troutwig.
If you watched the interview last night that he did with Al Troutwig, I believe. It was a fossil, by the way. Anyway, if you...
Why did you take out Al Troutwig?
Troutwig, please. Oh, seriously. Well polished Al Troutwig. I got issues with Al Troutwig that go way, way back. Way back. Way back.
Go on?
I just don't like the guy, man. I like him. Never been a fan of his. Growing up in New York,
you have issues. You said you had issues.
Not personal issues. I've never been a fan of Al Troutwig. For some reason, like growing up, New York media, I had a list of like the guys that I least liked in the New York media, and he was always at the top of the list. Al Troutwig.
That is Mrs. Wilson, the volleyball.
What is the most pathetic you've felt moved to tears by something inanimate in the movies, like a robot? Or E.T.
Wilson.
Really, a volleyball?
Wilson.
That's
when
a pretty
he
good
loses
nomination.
Wilson.
I mean, but gosh, I didn't feel anything. I felt the whole time that's just a volleyball.
It was his best friend.
I know, but I didn't feel that one. They didn't create the character of the volleyball well enough for me in Castaway for me to buy. Like, it was just a volleyball floating away with a bloody handprint on it.
Guillermo dismisses Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I'm not a fan of his. He's just kind of arrogant. He's condescending. And, I feel like he's in this position because he knows a lot about something no one else knows about. And his area of expertise is largely speculative. So, I mean, is it really that smart? We don't even know if Pluto's a planet or not. We keep going back and forth on that. No one's ever been to Mars. And he's telling us about things light years and light years away. Please.
Wait a minute.
Speculation.
Stugotz is Mrs. Daniel Day-Lewis.
And finally, 3-time Oscar winner Daniel Day-Lewis has retired from acting. Good.
Why good?
Who cares about Daniel Day-Lewis? Takes himself way too seriously. I'm tired of him. The actor's actor. Please, get so deep inside the role, please. Daniel Day-Lewis, go away.
Okay.
See how empty your life is without acting. Have fun, enjoy it.
It's a good point, and we can't even trust that he's not just researching a retiree's role, because that's what he does.
Exactly.
The guy's a liar.
Right. A person who's retired from acting for his next... Exactly right. That's something that he would do.
Well, he is a method actor. When he did My Left Foot, he only tried to use his left foot for many months when he was offset. I would say that Daniel Day-Lewis is one of the few actors that if he leaves acting, it's a genuine loss because he is a thespian.
Mm-hmm. It's the last good thing he's done. Go ahead, name it. I dare you.
I mean...
Go ahead, Lincoln.
There Will Be Blood?
Oh, yeah, that was good. That was back in 2007, though. What have you done for me lately?
Stugotz is Mrs. Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep.
I'm tired of her. Aren't you?
I mean, not really, no, but we'll get back to that in a second.
Okay. She does come off like, she thinks she's better than you, right?
Well, most people think that she's better than them as an actress. Like, she's sort of viewed as the gold standard.
Yeah, she's not.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. A standing ovation for Meryl Streep. Hey, come on. She's been nominated 20 times, and she's won 3. She's a 150 career hitter. Very bad per. Streep. 150, Dan. I get you, sent back to the minors within a week. She's Buddy Biancalana.
Okay, she's not hitting home.
And the third one is questionable, I'll tell you what. Because you went about 9 years without winning something, and the Academy, because she's Meryl Streep, felt like they had to give her a token third one. Here you go, here's an Academy Award. People work really hard for these things. She doesn't. And she just waits around, and people start feeling badly for her, and they give her, the most prestigious award in movies. And I don't like it, and I don't like her. And I am, therefore, never going to see a movie that she's in ever again.
Oh.
How about you? My sense is you agree with me on this.
Splash!
Mike, I'm telling you, I don't know whether we have another creative project in us, but if we do sign up for another creative project with ESPN, the name of it is going to be He Cost Them the Game Even Though They Won. Like that's going to be, whatever it is, that's going to be the name of that show if we got the energy and inspiration to do another one.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Dan Le Batard. Marriage at some point, I think for a lot of people, they get down to, and this is really a sad part about marriage, where you're just having sex one day a week. And that one day a week is Sunday. And so I love Sundays, but I hate everything I have to do leading up till Sunday, which is essentially agree with everything my wife says and does everything she asks me to do. And I'm only doing that for the Sundays. Because if I don't do it, there ain't no Sundays. And I can't live without my Sundays.
Stugotz. I wonder if Abby hates Sundays.
Oh, she despises them.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
William H. Macy is going to join us in a second. I'm going to tell you a story told by William H. Macy. William H. Macy's got a new film, The Layover. It's currently available on DirecTV, and it's going to be in select theaters September 1st. But here is William H. Macy on the making of Boogie Nights. Quote, "One of my first days was the scene in which Dirk Diggler wins the Golden Phallus Award. In the audience were 100 extras who had been told to wear their finest 1970s clothes. All they knew was that this was a Burt Reynolds film. They're sitting there, and the director says, 'All right, let's give it a shot.' When she announces the winner, you all applaud. Melora Walters walks up to the microphone, opens the envelope, and with that fabulous little voice of hers, says, 'And the winner is,' and I can't wait to get this big bleep in my mouth and my bleep, Dirk Diggler." There was a stunned silence, and literally half the extras walked right out, got in their cars, and drove home. William H. Macy with us now on ESPN Radio. Thank you for joining us again. Can you give us another story from Boogie Nights that people might not know that is as amazing or close to as amazing as that one?
Not on the radio.
Oh, so you guys got some good ones in private, huh?
Well, come on. It was about the porn industry. As you were recounting that story, I kept thinking, Paul Thomas Anderson, are you listening? Is this okay? Am I telling tales?
Did you? Is there one role above all others, William, that you've just simply enjoyed the doing of it? That you just felt you were having more fun than any other role?
Dave Mamet wrote a thing called State and Maine. It's about a film crew that goes to a little town in New England, and I played the director. And oh Lord, that was fun.
Because?
Well, I had the best lines in the movie, certainly, because he was the quintessential director. I mean, an example is his first AD comes up to him and he says, "My wife's gone into labor and it seems like there's difficulties." And I cut him off and I say, "Thanks for keeping me current. Now, can you get to it?"
Are you someone who sort of do you believe that any of your work is sort of criminally underappreciated? Is there anything you look at and say, "Man, I knew that was really good, and it did not receive popularity"?
Oh gosh, probably in my deepest heart of hearts. But more to the point, I think there's some of it that's criminally unsatisfactory. But I'm not telling you what that is either.
Okay, very good. So not revealing in any way. How did you do on Inside the Actors Studio when you clam up that way? When you were on Inside the Actors Studio, did you give Lipton what he wanted, or did you clam up like that?
You know, that's a different thing. They say it's all about opening up. And, well, you raise a good point if you want to talk about it, which is I think actors have to constantly decide, what do I let out and what's private? It's really hard, and some actors get completely lost, and they live their lives completely publicly, and it's a fine line, especially when you have daughters, when you have kids. What's in and what's out? Do you know what I mean?
Well, are you exceedingly private? Like, are you uncomfortable with some of the things that Hollywood bring?
Complicated question. Yes and no, I would say. I do love acting, and I love being recognized, and celebrity is really gratifying and humbling and exhilarating, and it comes with a price. It comes with a real price. And I think in my heart of hearts, I'm more private than not. So I love to be on. I love to be in front of people, but at a certain point, I reach Sir Feet, and then it's just a trial for me.
Well, how about this? Would this be a workable solution for you? If I were to create a utopia where William H. Macy's work could be recognized, but not him?
No. Are you kidding? No.
No, you want to be recognized.
Of course he does. Who doesn't want to be recognized? You're the only one.
No, some people are uncomfortable with fame enough that they would like their work to be recognized and not themselves. There's vanity.
Well, let them wait in line to get a table. I'll be the guy that's going to go, oh, my gosh, it's you.
Right.
They can't remember who exactly I am.
Let them wait in line for a table.
Okay,
I love
so
it.
When is the last time?
Hold on. You want to hear a good one? One time, my wife bought me an overcoat, and we went to Barney's in New York, and the guy was very nice to me. And he bought the coat. I bought the coat, and he said, "Pick it up in 2 weeks." And as I was leaving, and he shook my hand warmly, and he said, "Thank you for all the years of entertainment." I said, "Well, you've humbled me." I come back to pick up my coat, and it says David Caruso on the tag.
What a great story, man. That is, oh, my God. How good is that?
Yeah.
The other redheaded guy.
That's perfect. All right, but William, give us a time. Give us a story here where you use your name, your celebrity, to get yourself a table or something good.
Does your wife call on your behalf, an assistant? How does this work?
Well, you have to be very cagey with that stuff.
I know.
I took a motorcycle trip with two of the lads from Shameless, and Justin and Steve Howie and me went up to San Francisco, and I got a flat tire. So we took our jolly good time, and we stayed about a quarter of the way up. And I woke up the next morning, I've got a flat tire in my Harley, so I called the local dealer, and I said, I got a flat tire, we're on a trip. And he said, yeah, bring it in, we can fix it. I said, can you take me right away? And he said, well, there's 4 in front of you. It's going to be, 2 hours, not bad, 3 hours maybe. I said, listen, it's William H. Macy, and I'm with 2 guys from Shameless. And he said, yeah? I said, could you get me in right away? And he said, yeah, like I said, there's about 4 in front of you. So I said, look, I hate doing this, but did you see Wild Hogs? He said, no. He kept going. I said, I'm a movie star, man. And finally he says, no, not in this shop. There's only one star. That's me. You're talking to him. So we went to the Harley dealership. I waited 3 hours and got my tire fixed, and off we go. We rolled into San Francisco at about 12:30, 1 o'clock at night, and we were frozen solid, but I got a lesson.
You just described, that guy sounds like a character in Fargo.
He does, doesn't he?
You just
I think
described.
It's my go-to accent.
Such a great story. William H. Macy, new film, The Layover, currently available on DirecTV, and it'll be in select theaters September 1st. You should watch it because he's directing The Layover. And I'm curious, you mentioned Shameless. You that role is modeled after your mother, correct? Do I have that right?
Nah. It's actually based on a British series of the same name. I don't know where he came up. I mean, me mom loved to bend an elbow every once in a while, and I imitate her every once in a while. My version of her.
William
bend an elbow. She drank a bit.
Drank a little bit.
Right. William H. Macy with us here on ESPN Radio.
Oh, God. Give him
sorry.
some room.
I
Give
just
him
did
some
it.
room.
I thought he was done.
We're talking about him. His mother's drinking. Give him some room.
William, I apologize. I thought it was done. Please continue.
I ruined the interview simply by bringing the subject up. We were having a good time. I should have just told him that Harley should have been illegal.
I was just
we
trying
would
to
have
get away
gotten into a fight with him. The Harley that got the flat.
I was trying to get away from it. William, I apologize, though. Please continue.
No apology necessary.
All right.
What was your question?
I'm wondering if there's anything you've done, any role you've played where while you were in it, you didn't think it was that good, and then afterwards you received too much praise. Has that happened to you where you received a lot of praise for something that you yourself didn't think was very good?
Whoa. You guys don't mess around, do you? You ask real questions. They kind of require real answers.
Yeah. Something in there.
He's afraid of hurting someone's feelings.
There's something in
there. No.
There's something in there.
Oh, man, I'm not going to come up with everybody's names, but it did play in New York, and it was exactly as you just described. All the way through rehearsals, I thought, is this working? I don't think this is. It was a play at, not Manhattan Theater Club, I don't know.
Okay, but it was universally received, or it was received well, and you didn't think it was very good?
Yeah, I didn't. I thought it was rambling, and I had my problems with it. And the first performance we did, they were ripping the seats out and eating their young. I mean, I've never heard laughs like that. It was great. And it turns out I had a great role. I mean, I couldn't blink my eyes without getting a huge laugh.
New film, The Layover, currently available, DirecTV, select theaters, September 1st. Last thing before we let you go here. Can you explain to us the length that you went to get on Fargo to make sure that role went to you? Yes, I had to audition here in L.A. 3 times. I kept coming back, and but then when I heard they were seeing people in New York, I flew to New York, and you know, I don't recommend any other actors try this, but I said to Ethan, "I'll shoot your dog if you don't give me this role," and luckily he laughed. I worked hard on that role. Boy, that was a life changer. What a fabulous movie. Fabulous cast, brilliantly directed. Have you ever wanted a role like that? Have you ever worked that way to get a role before?
Yes, I have. It's the actor's cross to bear. There are those roles that you just know, I should have done that. I really should have done that. And you work your butt off, and you didn't get it. It happens.
Like Family Guy? Is that the one that hurts the most, or is there another one that hurts more than that one?
No, we used to say in New York, if you're a 1 in a million type, there's 7 of you in Manhattan.
William, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate your time. We really do enjoy talking to you.
Thank you so much. My premiere of The Layover is tonight, so light a candle for us. We'll see how it goes.
All right, DirecTV, people, The Layover. It's currently available on DirecTV and in select theaters September 1st. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. Nice to talk to you again, Dan.
Likewise.
See ya. Bye.
What about Scott?
Well, I said gentlemen.
Beat the man. You got to beat the man. Woo!
You did keep interrupting him.
Yeah. That was at one time. It was a bad question about that. Seriously.
$2. You're blaming me because you interrupted him.
You brought it up.
You interrupted him several times and then blamed me
It was
for
a big party in here. All of a sudden, we were depressed. I don't know what happened there. Here.
I did ask him about his mom.
I mean, you did. And I wanted to get away from it. That's all.
You may be right that it's his fault, but the fine.
It's on me. I put my $2 in. I apologize to Dan. Okay? I put my $2 in. We're good.
David Simon is going to join us here in 15 minutes, the creator of The Wire. And also, we've got mispronunciations. I think those are mostly going to be Stugotz. All Stugotz or mostly Stugotz?
It's all Stugotz.
All right, mispronunciations, a new Suey category is next.
Dan Le Batard.
It really is amazing that you're a professional broadcaster.
Yep.
The most famous running back in the draft, this is not his name.
I feel like Zeke Elliott. I bailed quickly on that one.
Stugotz.
Hear what I did to poor Dory? Tune in every Saturday from 8 until noon Eastern for Dory and Mel with Dory Nokoa and Mel.
Oh, my God.
Nokia?
Oh, my God.
It's a camera.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Thank you to everyone who has made that, I believe, still ESPN's biggest digital property, right?
Hope so.
I don't know if the numbers are down or where the numbers have been. I haven't checked in many, many months, but you guys were downloading that at an unprecedented level at the company, so thank you for doing that.
You can check it out, ESPN app or Apple Podcasts. Make sure to subscribe if you're on Apple Podcasts. Leave a review. Tell your friends.
All right. That's a little more than I wish to. I just wanted to thank the audience.
I understand.
Just a quick brag and then thank the audience and disguise it as a thank you to the audience.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to keep it.
And then then into sales.
I'm trying to keep
Good
it
job,
as ESPN's
Michael.
#1 property.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Digitally, anyways.
Benefits all of us, Dan. It's a good job by Mike.
That digitally anyway is a big qualifier because we are not ESPN's most valuable property. We are just something that you guys download a lot.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
All right. So David Simon is going to join us. David Simon created The Wire. He's going to join us in 10 minutes. And I'm told that this mispronunciation category, if you're not familiar with the Sueys, they are our Oscars, where we have 12 categories. Evidently, Best Picture this year is Best Dan Mistake. I am not familiar. This is not a category we've ever done before, and it's skyrocketed straight to Best Picture.
It's like Best New Artist closing the Grammys instead of Album of the Year.
Okay. All right. So
unprecedented.
Best Dan Mistake. I can't wait to hear that one. That'll be Best
You
Picture.
may retire afterwards, citing dementia.
Well, maybe we'll do it. Maybe that'll be where I retire. On that note right there, ladies and gentlemen, here are all my mistakes, and bang, it'll be like the Michael Jordan shot over Byron Russell. Oh, man. Except incompetent. I'm Byron Russell in that equation.
Right.
Like I'm not Michael Jordan.
Jordan shoving you out of the industry.
That's correct. So the Stugotz mispronunciations is always very popular.
Is this my walk-off?
You got a lot.
Dismissal is
yours.
Usually yours.
But this one is really good, and I'm told he's improved. Last year, this was 1 minute and 10 seconds long. This year, it's 50 seconds long. 50.
You asked me to try harder.
There you go.
1% less words.
So here it is, Stugotz. This is Stugotz being better at his job of communicating.
And now, the Suey nominees for Best Stugotz Mispronunciation. Warm. Many of my friends. Soliciting. Totality. Superstitious. Coach. I think that. Peanut. Steak sauce. Histrionics. Gut over.
Get out.
Refund. Sample size. Martial arts. Iron. Job.
It's horrifying. What do you mean not bad? What do you mean not bad?
In terms of volume.
How do you lower the expectations unto such a point that can ever be considered good at communication or broadcasting, never mind speech?
Job.
Not bad.
Let me hear again, Stugotz saying job. One more time.
Job or steak sauce? Because we were hung up on steak sauce. It's only 50 seconds long. We could do it one more time.
So you couldn't find job?
Needle in a haystack. Yeah.
And now, the Suey nominees for Best Stugotz Mispronunciation. Warm. Many of my friends. Soliciting. Totality. Superstitious. Coach. I think that. Peanut. Steak sauce. Histrionics. Gut over.
Get out.
Refund. Sample size. Martial arts. Iron. Job.
Martian out.
No, the leap comedically that we make from you making sample size into a sergeant of some sort, and then the next step on that being Martian arts. It's like two notes of it's comedy perfection. You calling them Martian arts. And don't even get me started on how you were in a big hurry to get somewhere before you finished saying the word totality. Like you had to rush out of the room on totality, so you just got out of there and then you
1% less worse.
Yeah.
Huh?
Unbelievable, man.
What?
But that is better.
Job is a tongue twister, man.
That is Stugotz. That marks Stugotz improvement right there. Yes. Everything you just heard is him being better than last year. That's him doing his job 1% less worse. David Simon of The Wire joins us next.
Dan Batard.
Texter writes in, Stugotz looks homeless today. If I saw him walking down Ocean Drive, I would give him $5.
Stugotz.
Thank you.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. David Simon going to join us in just a minute here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. San Francisco 49ers offensive assistant Katie Sowers came out in an interview with Outsports.com while discussing her sexual orientation, subsequently becoming the National Football League's first openly gay coach. She's the second woman coach in NFL history and is currently assisting the wide receivers. Wayne Rooney, England's all-time scorer. It's amazing. I didn't realize this. He's announced his immediate retirement from international football. Shocking.
He's still playing, though. That just means he's not playing for England anymore.
All right. And finally, Smashing Pumpkins. What's the big announcement, though?
Just keep it moving, please, so I could get to David Simon. Just keep it moving.
Seems
Just
like
get
a
to the
waste of a
end
story.
of this.
I mean,
You're wasting my time with David Simon. Go. Never mind. In fact, David Simon with us now on ESPN Radio. His new series, The Deuce, premieres September 10th on HBO. Good God, man. You're just keeping this guy waiting. Really admire his work.
I admire his work as well, but I mean, this Wayne Rooney story is a non-story.
Let's get to it right now. The Deuce premieres September 10th on HBO. Admire this guy as a thinker, as a creator, as an artist. What is The Deuce about? And thank you for making time for us again, David.
Sure.
What are you
Glad to be back.
What are you doing with The Deuce?
It's about porn. And you would think that on HBO I could manage to have like a hit show about porn, but no, I'll end up screwing that up too, so.
All right, so porn in the 70s, though, right? Porn in the 70s?
Yeah, well, it's about the beginning of the sex industry, the beginning of legal pornography, and because obviously pornography's been around since some French guy invented the camera, but the point at which it came out of the paper bag legally in America, and of course now it's a billion-dollar dynamic, and it's something that sort of is present everywhere in American life at this point.
A lot of people want you for
when
projects.
it was under the counter.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you. A lot of people want you for projects. Why'd you choose this one?
Well, we were working on a lot of different things for HBO and elsewhere, and lo and behold, the porn narrative was the one that got the green light fastest. Who knew? That's exactly what happened, which is 3 or 4 things did not get a green light, and this thing went to production. It wasn't something that George Palkanos and I didn't really want to do a porn show. We weren't looking for it, and we kind of backed into it. And what happened was one of the locations managers on Treme, the show we made in New Orleans, he had been talking to a guy who had been a mob front on 42nd Street he's been talking to him for about 5-6 years and taking down these stories about this moment in time where the sex industry sort of rose up and became an American standard. And the more he kept at us to meet with the guy, the more reluctant we became. But finally, he was so persistent. One time we were in New York, we took a meeting with the guy, and after about 3 hours of listening to his stories about the 42nd Street and that world, George and I went for a walk. We went around the corner and we looked at each other. And we said, "Oh my God, we have to make this show." So it wasn't like we were looking for it. But
that's such a great story, though. The idea that guy would have to push that opportunity on you, and the only way it gets made is because of his persistence.
Yeah, I mean, he was really. He said, "You have to meet the guy," and we were like, come on, man. We're married with lawn furniture. We don't want to make a porn show. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, the characters. He goes, I can't express to you. The guy's been talking into a tape recorder for me for years, and the people he knew and what happened, and once we heard it, it really was this moment. These people were like pioneers in something that, for one moment there is an industry, but it's not an industry. It's basically out of, in the 60s they were selling loops out of the back of cars. You couldn't sell it over the counter. And then suddenly, 71, 72, they're showing, Deep Throat at a theater in New York, and they're rolling out red carpets, and celebrities are walking in. Something happened, and of course now it's a dynamic that everybody in America, we don't sell cars or beer or blue jeans without at least a nodding reference to the imagery and the psychology of pornography. It's become an American standard.
If this guy tackles the topic, it's going to be thorough and well done. New series, The Deuce, premieres September 10th on HBO. When it comes to The Wire, David, can you tell us the story in retrospect that you had to fight to keep The Wire going, that HBO was ready to end The Wire, and what was the moment that you thought was most hopeless that The Wire was going to vanish before you were done with it?
Well, there were a couple of hopeless moments. The first one I remember was after season 3. We had finished the overt line of the Barksdale story, and as Chris Albrecht said, he said, "Why should we try to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory? You know, we're getting good reviews. We finished the story. We did 3 seasons. Nobody's watching the show. I mean, and we didn't have any viewership on the air." He said, "Why don't we end this?" And he did give me, he and Carolyn Strauss gave me a chance to walk in and sell them on the last 2 seasons what the plot lines were going to be. And, you know, on the merits, he basically let us go ahead. It was a remarkable thing in television, because usually it's all about numbers. But here I actually just did the stories of the season 4 and season 5. I was doing the dance in the office of saying what would happen and how we would finish it out and why we needed to finish it out. And he allowed season 4 to go ahead, but I remember season 5. I remember being in a hotel room in Maputo, Mozambique, because we were location scouting for Generation Kill, and I got a call and they said, "We're not renewing the show for season 5 for the last season." And you know, I lost my shit again. I just did. I can't tell you how miserable I was then, because I felt like I was, you know, thousands of miles away and I couldn't present the same kind of argument. And the idea of finishing with season 4, you know, all those bodies in the vacants, and no way to sort of resolve the situation with Marlowe, I felt like, my God, this is the worst possible ending.
Hold on a second.
But
if I may, David, and if you could clean up the language, I appreciate that you're comfortable enough to say that. But when you say you lost your bleep...
I'm sorry, I just did a podcast a moment ago.
No, that's okay.
So
That's
all right.
I messed up.
When you say you lost your bleep because they were going to give you the exactly wrong ending on The Wire and not allow you to finish the thought, what does that look like?
Well, it's a series of calls. You know, it was like 4 a.m. in where I was. It's a series of calls back to Los Angeles, you know, whining into the phone, followed by a return trip from, you know, 4 days later, you know, flying out to L.A. and wrapping my arms around, you know, Chris Albrecht's legs and you know, promising to do his babysitting and you know, clean his windows and, you know, and really arguing that, no, you can't leave the story here. You know, this is really snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. So, again, to his credit, he found the money for 10 episodes, and, you know, we were able to finish, you know, God bless him.
David, a lot of people believe The Wire is the best show in TV history. For me personally, it is second behind First Take, but I'm wondering, what do you believe is the best show in TV history?
What does David Simon say? That's the best that's ever been done.
The Great 28, which, if you know what I'm referring to, The Honeymooners. There's nothing better.
Wow.
The 28 episodes of The Honeymooners, of the original Honeymooners, are you know, it's primal.
Still holds up? Still holds up today?
I cannot, if one of them is on the air, if one of them is coming across a television screen and I walk into the room, if the house is on fire, I still have to sit down and watch it to the end.
That's great. Can you tell me something do you have a regret as it relates to The Wire? A regret where you're like, man, I wish I'd done this a little differently, a little better, or...
I wish I'd gotten 2 more episodes out of that last season. You know, if I'd had 12, there were a couple of storylines that we had charted that we had to say goodbye to. But, you know, what are you going to do? It was in that fiscal year that Chris gave us not only the 10 hours to finish The Wire, he also gave us 7 to do Generation Kill. So in the same year, we did both things. So, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it really sounds like I'm complaining.
No, I asked the question. You weren't complaining. I asked.
But I got to say, you know, Chris, after The Wire finished, and it sort of, when it finished, we got a lot of sort of attention to the final episode. Wrapped a lot of stuff up. It got good reviews. And I got this email from Chris at the end saying, he said, that was great ending. The only thing that could have made it better was a couple more episodes.
Thanks.
You know,
Thanks.
That guy's sense of humor is pretty sharp.
All right. New series, The Deuce. It premieres September 10th on HBO. We got to get you out of here, but real quick, what do you got for me on Kaepernick? As somebody who likes sports and is also on the outside.
I was tweeting this. I wanted him in Baltimore. By the way, I think I don't know that all these guys got in a room and decided to blackball him, but the truth is that's what's effectively happened. You know, I'm a Ravens season ticket holder, and between this and the league's slow and incomplete response to the concussion issue and to the brain injury issue, I'm having a hard time holding on to my tickets. My feeling is, dissent is the most American thing there is. And this guy's, by the stats, this guy should have a place on an NFL team somewhere. So I was really disappointed with the Ravens.
Have you been praying for Biscotti?
Biscotti.
I call him Biscotti.
Yeah, he says, "Pray for us. Pray for us."
As you may or may not know, I've given up on using petitional prayer involving sports because of something very ugly that happened to me when I was a young boy. And I basically caused my favorite player on the Washington Senators to be traded because I prayed to God for a home run, and then I caused them to become the Texas Rangers because I prayed to God, and I made a promise to God that I didn't keep. Mm-hmm. And so, do not say the word prayer involving anything involving sports because it's traumatized me for years.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to end this on this note. I'm sorry. We'll let you go on the note, but you can't be on here enough, okay? So please, again, watch The Deuce Forum, premieres September 10th, HBO. David, thank you for making time for us, and please, let's have you on again because I can't have you on enough.
Thank you, guys.
You can listen to the Dan Levitt